Higher than I thought. Okay. All right. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate everyone coming here. We're going to go ahead and get started with the event. If I get everyone to settle down, we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin with the national anthem. So if I get everyone to settle down, we're going to begin with the national anthem. Please rise at this time for the national anthem. Thank you all. Please be seated, please. Hey, welcome, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the media. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Todd Polk. I'm the Deputy Commander for the South Florida U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Jacksonville District, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies for today's celebration. Thank you all for joining us today as we cut the ribbon for the ceremonial filling of the C-44 Reservoir and Stormwater Treatment Area, a project that will help restore the Indian River Lagoon South ecosystem. The reservoir behind me and stormwater treatment area to the front of me here in Martin County is due to your tireless efforts to restore the ecosystem we love. The Indian River Lagoon is an incredibly diverse estuary. We live, work, and play here, and we want our families to continue to do the same for generations to come. The C-44 Reservoir and Stormwater Treatment Area Complex is the first of 4 of its kind planned for South Florida. They are massive projects that will help us restore the ecosystem that sustain us. Building them has been a monumental task that requires efforts of elected officials, agency staff, contractors, and the public. We're not only celebrating the ceremonial filling of the C-44 Reservoir today, but we are celebrating you. As we get underway with the celebration, I'd like to recognize a few of our distinguished guests. We are honored to be joined by the Honorable Kenny Cypress and Ms. Janine Bennett of the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. Thank you. And we'd like to thank the offices of Senator Marco Rubio, Congressman Brian Mast, Congressman Brian Donalds, Congressman Bill Posey for sending their staff. We have Florida Senator Gail Harrell with us, and we also have Representatives Toby Oberdorf, Matt Wilhite, and Lauren Mello here as well. We have members of our federal family here from the U.S. Department of the Interior, including Assistant Secretary for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, Ms. Shannon Espinoz. And Mr. Adam Gilbert, the Director of the Office of Everglades Restoration Initiatives, along with Kevin Berger. Our partner Larry Williams, the State Supervisor for Ecological Services, is here to represent U.S. Fish and Wildlife today. And Gib Owen, the Assistant Director for Policy Legislation, is here from the Office of the Assistant Secretary for the Army for Civil Works. Of course, we have our phenomenal partners from the state of Florida with Dr. Sean Hamilton, Secretary of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, along with Deputy Secretary Adam Blaylock, and Dr. Wes Brooks, the Director of Federal Affairs. Now, Chauncey Goss, Chairman of the South Florida Water Management District Governing Board, and the other governing board members have joined him here, include Ben Butler, Ms. Charlotte Roman, Jay Steinley, Jackie Thurlow-Lippisch, and the Executive Director, Drew Bartlett. Thank you. We have the members of the Martin County Board of County Commissioners, Chairman Doug Smith, Stacey Hetherington, Harold Jenkins, and Sarah Hurd, and Ed Campy, along with their key staff is here. And Jacqueline Gary Clark, the mayor of Village of Indiantown, Holly Smith, mayor of Sanibel, and Kevin Ostrom, mayor of the town of Ocean Breeze. I'd also like to thank Tom Reinhardt and his staff from Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission for supporting this event today. Thank you very much. And now the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Jacksonville District Commander Colonel James Booth will be giving you some opening remarks. Please welcome Jamie Booth.
Thank you for coming today for this important event, and thank you for bearing through some great Florida weather. Well, we'll see how this plays out, and I appreciate you fighting through it with us. We're here to celebrate the ribbon cutting and ceremonial filling of the Indian River Lagoon South C-44 Reservoir and Stormwater Treatment Area. The Indian River Lagoon South project is one of the largest first-generation comprehensive Everglades restoration plan or CERP projects. It's massive in scope and massive in scale, as you can see behind you. The Indian River Lagoon is significant. It is one of the most biologically diverse ecosystems in the continental United States, and it's home to more than 3,000 species of plants and animals. The C-44 component of the Indian River Lagoon South project will capture, store, and treat local runoff in the C-44 basin. It will revitalize the habitat and help restore the balance of fresh and salt water in the Indian River Lagoon and the St. Lucie estuary, and provide significant water improvement for the area. We have said before that Everglades restoration is a marathon and not a sprint. Everyone here today should feel very proud of their decades-long effort to make the restoration of the southern part of the Indian River Lagoon a reality. So this includes our phenomenal partners at the South Florida Water Management District, elected officials at all levels of government, our federal, state, and local partners, and many other individuals and organizations who continue their support and engagement in core projects as their life's work. The Indian River Lagoon South project stands out as an excellent example of how we can work together to maintain the momentum for long-term restoration projects. The elected officials and local communities have been all in IRL South from the very beginning, and we thank you for it. They've made significant investments in both time and money, which are true indicators of the most importance of this project. We thank them and their work and the work that they have done to get us to this point, and appreciate their continued work to move the C-23, C-24, and 25 components of the IRL South project forward. The C-44 Reservoir and Stormwater Treatment Area, a portion of this project will provide 60,500 acre feet of new water storage. That includes 50,000 acre feet of hey, we got great weather. Let's get this done. This is what it's all about. So this includes 50,600 acre feet of storage in the reservoir, 9,900 acre feet of stormwater treatment area, and 3,600 acres of new wetlands. I also want to recognize the significant contributions of the staff at the United States Army Corps of Engineers, Jacksonville District, and our partners, the South Florida Water Management District, who have dedicated years, and some even decades, of their lives to these types of projects and this project. I'd also like to recognize the incredible work done by our consultants and contractors, in particular Bernard Construction, who had the expertise and capability to take on this huge task, meet our numerous contracting requirements, which are not insignificant, and deliver a quality product. We have much to celebrate today. Thank you all for the work over the past decades to make this project a reality.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Chauncey Goss, the chairman of the governing board, South Florida Water Management District. The Water Management is a phenomenal partner and a non-federal sponsor for SERP. I'll come back to that.
Good Lord. Thank you, Father, for helping to fill this for us. We don't even need the pumps. On behalf of the South Florida Water Management District, I would like to welcome you to Martin County, to the C-44 Reservoir and the C-44 STAs. I'm Chauncey Goss. I have the privilege of being the very wet chairman of the governing board for the district. I'm joined here by some of my drier board members. I've got Ben Butler from Okeechobee, someone who needs no introduction around here, Jackie Throla-Lipich. We've got Jay Steinley from Palm Beach, Charlotte Roman from Marco Island, who's also chair of the Big Cypress Basin Board. This is a great, great day, and it's a real honor to be here. This is a big deal for all of us. Thank you. Don't get wet. This is a really big deal for all of us, and I'm just so excited to be here, even if we are experiencing some cool weather. It's a big deal because it's been coming for so long, and we're finally there. We're finally over the hoop, and I look out in this crowd and I see it's a big deal for you all too. I'm looking over there and I see my mayor, Holly Smith, who drove here from the city of Sanibel, and I see Jesse Purdon from the city of Bonita Springs, city of Bonita Springs, and Daniel Andrews I saw earlier from Fort Myers. And you're probably thinking, well, why are these people here from the West Coast? Why are they giving up 7 or 8 hours of their day to come over here and celebrate this with us? And the answer is very simple. It's because the Everglades is a system. And when the system's out of whack, we all suffer. And we have been suffering, particularly on the West Coast, over the last decade or so. This is the first step in ending that suffering. This is the first step in moving us forward. So it's an incredibly exciting day. Big deal for us. I think it's only fitting that Thanksgiving is just 6 days away, because I think of all the things that I have to be particularly thankful for today. And some of those things, if you think back, think of all the governors, think of all the colonels, think of all the governing board members, all the legislators, all the staff, both at the Corps and the district, who have been working on this for the last 21 years. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I mean, if SERP wanted to go to the bar today, he could get a drink legally. It's crazy. I also want to point out, I said earlier that we have a partnership, and you talked about it a little bit, Colonel. We have a great partnership. It's very, very unique. I've been in and around government most of my life, and I don't see many federal partnerships like this with state entities. And it's something that I know we've been working on it for 21 years, and I know it's getting better and better, but I just want to say thank you to Colonel Booth. I want to say thank you to your predecessor, Colonel Kelly, Lieutenant Colonel Polk, to you and your staffs for just doing a phenomenal job and working very, very well with us. The taxpayers expect a lot from us. They demand a lot from us. We're taking their money, and I think they're getting their money's worth. And I think that this partnership is proof of that. And by that same token, I want to thank our executive director, Drew Bartlett. He's a phenomenal leader. We have an incredible staff. He's the kind of guy who gets the most out of people, and our staff is working hard for us every day. So when we take the Corps of Engineers, we put it together with the district, we are getting our money's worth. So it's something I'm really excited about. When I'm looking at sort of what we've been doing over the last 21 years, I'm looking forward to the next 10 years, and we're going to be doing much more in the next decade than we've been doing in the last 2 decades. And what we're doing is we're creating storage. And we're creating storage around the lake, and we're creating storage here on the east side. We're working to the south. As most of you know, thanks to the leadership of this governor, we're working on the EAA reservoir, and that's coming along very well. There is a ton, and that's a budget term, ton of money sloshing around in D.C. right now. I am hoping, Colonel, that you and your leadership are figuring out ways with our congressional delegation to make sure we get that money that we require to finish that EAA reservoir. We're also working on storage north of the lake. That's something that's very important to us, and we're hoping to get that storage into WERDA in 2022. So that's something we're looking forward to as well. And then, keeping with the holiday theme for me, I've told Santa not to even bother coming in 2023 to my house, because my Christmas present is going to be my reservoir, the C-43 reservoir. So I'm putting that mark in the ground for everyone. I know the staff's probably going, wait a minute, it can't be right then, but yeah, it's going to be then. So we're making tremendous progress on storage on the 4 quadrants of the lake. I had the opportunity to be able to be with the governor earlier this week when he was announcing his budget. Unprecedented amount of money for Everglades restoration. So the leadership he is showing for us is awesome. And Senator Harrell, with your help, I thank you for following his lead and helping out. You said you've been working on this for 20 years, 21 years also. So thank you for all you've done for this. This governor's keeping his foot on the gas, and that's something that makes me really happy. We have this momentum. This momentum does not happen in a vacuum. It only happens as a result of tremendous leadership, and we have that leadership right now in Governor DeSantis. Today's one of those days where I just look around and sort of take this in, because I think in 20 years you're going to be able to go, oh yeah, I was there when they flipped this switch and turned that pump on, and it's just going to be a great feeling. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Chairman Goss. There we go. Hey, all right, awesome. All right. And now, another member of our federal family, a South Florida native who's worn many hats, worked on ecosystem restoration for many years, and seen it from many different perspectives. She's a lifelong, tireless advocate for the Florida Everglades, and was recently sworn as the Assistant Secretary for Fish and Wildlife and Parks to the United States Department of the Interior. Please welcome Ms. Shannon Estedos.
There is no such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothing. So it is so good to be home. It's so good to be in this torrential subtropical rain. Hi, everybody. Shannon Estedos, U.S. Department of the Interior. Hi, Fowler. I am so grateful to be here with you today, and I'm so thankful. Mr. Chairman, not that I would ever try to one-up Daniel Andrews, but I drove here from Washington, D.C. To be with you today. And first of all, I want to say I have been working on the Everglades about 25 years, and so I know firsthand the level of effort and stick-to-itness and tenacity and never give up that goes into making a day like today happen. And I'll tell you, 95% of the work is done before the first shovel is turned on a structure like this. So I just want to say that out loud. I want you to know that I know it, and I talk about it a lot in Washington. I also want to say I'm here to give you some words of encouragement. I know how proud you're feeling today, but I want to give you permission to feel even prouder, because I've spent the last almost year now all over the country, working on issues all over the country. And I just returned from Scotland from the Conference of the Parties 2 weeks ago, where the world has come together to talk about these intersecting crises of climate change and the loss of nature and the loss of biodiversity. And I want you to know that in the Everglades here in South Florida, you all are at the front edge of the kind of work that needs to be happening all over the world. And I'm just so, so proud. I think many of my colleagues might be starting to get tired of my bragging, but don't worry, I will not stop doing it. If I had a dime for every time I say, well, in Florida, and you know, we have a lot to do when it comes to addressing the climate crisis. We need a renewable energy future. We need to reduce carbon emissions. We also need to conserve nature. And the President has set our first national conservation goal, and in his vision, the America the Beautiful vision, to conserve 30% of our lands and waters by the year 2030. And he's told us we're going to do it the only way there is to do it, which is in partnership with states, with tribes, with communities. In short, we're going to do it the way y'all have been doing it for the last 30 years. So when I say you really are showing us how this work gets done, I mean it. And you're showing us also, as I said at the Kissimmee River event a couple of months ago, you're showing, first of all, that you have the imagination to think as big as we need to be thinking. Our challenges are global, and so we can't just be thinking small. We have to be thinking at the landscape scale. That's what you guys do. And then we have to have the creativity and the commitment to do the hard work of actually implementing those dreams. And that's what you guys have done, and that you're doing it today. So I could not be, I'm always proud to be a Floridian. Days like this, I'm obnoxiously proud to be a Floridian. And I'm just so grateful to all of you. Colonel, Mr. Chairman, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this event. And congratulations and gratitude to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Estes, for your lifelong dedication to Florida Everglades and restoration. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Sean Hamilton, Secretary of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and a critical leader in the partnership with the Corps of Engineers in the state of Florida. Please welcome Secretary Hamilton.
I'm flipping. It does say doctor. It does. So I'll take it. I don't know where it came from, but I'll take it. So Colonel, I know you work miracles, but that's a good one. No. Thank you, sir. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I'll be brief so we can avoid what may be coming our way. But first of all, again, I'm Sean Hamilton. I'm the Secretary for the Department of Environmental Protection, and of course, it's a pleasure to be here today. I know the Colonel mentioned this is a marathon, but man, it sure feels like the pace is picking up a little bit in this marathon. I know it may just be me, but I like it. So, obviously, it's been quite a week. You heard a little bit Chauncey talk about it. It's been quite a week for Everglades restoration. On Tuesday, I had the pleasure of being with the governor as he announced portions of his upcoming budget for FY 22-23. And I think most of you should recall, and we just talked about this a little bit, in this first week in office, the governor pledged $2.5 billion over the next 4 years for Everglades projects and water resource projects in the state. $2.5 billion. And you'll hear the governor state it often. You know, I know a lot of folks thought that was just a promise, a political thing to get a point, but man, it's one thing to make that promise. It's another thing not to honor it. Now, with the most recent announcement, he's going to surpass it, and we as a state as a whole should be thankful for his leadership. With that commitment, and then historic investment, yes, thank you. So just to put that where we are, he's proposing $960 million in Everglades funding for the next year in water resource project, well in excess of that 2.5. In fact, we're thinking we're going to land around that $3 billion number with the support of the legislature and the continued leadership of the governor. And so that's a big deal. Now, this type of bold vision is what has enabled us to be here today to celebrate this event and continue to expedite those projects. But also, I'd be remiss if it wasn't to acknowledge those bold partnerships we have with the water management districts and our partners at the Corps. You heard about that federal-state partnership. Well, this is definitely a testament to a successful partnership. Sometimes that's not always the case. We can't get in our own ways, and we need to find ways to work through things. And this is a perfect example, Colonel, that you and your team and the Water Management District is showing the world, as Shannon stated. So one of the things that's hard to get a sense when you look at the scope and scale of projects to appreciate how much progress is being made. But because of the governor's leadership, I do want to highlight that momentum. You know, in the last 3 years, we have broken ground or moved forward or hit major milestones on 37 projects associated with Everglades. That's in the last 3 years. Again, picking up that pace, moving to a little bit of a sprint. By 2022, under the governor's leadership and those outstanding partnerships that I mentioned, we would have broken ground on 15, get this, 15 of the most critical Everglades projects. And again, that pace, that commitment is what we need to continue to excel if we're going to make this a reality within the generations that we want to benefit from this. The C-44, of course, is one of those shining examples. This project, as you heard, will do wonders and amazing things as we think about the basin revitalization that will happen for the IRL as well as the St. Lucie estuary. But with that in mind, I would like to draw your attention to one thing. It will take the continued commitment. It will take our partners in D.C. It will take our partners here at the Corps. It will take our partners at the district. And it will take all of you to continue that momentum, to continue that investment, continue that collaboration. Because, again, we want to continue to celebrate events like this every other week if I had it my way. But, again, more or less every other chance we get. And with that in mind, thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your collaboration. And together I know we'll continue to do more for Florida's environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Hamilton. We'll make sure to revoke that doctorate after this one here. I know it's true. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Greg Langowski, the Southeast Regional Director of the United States Office of Senator Marco Rubio, and will provide some remarks on behalf of the Senator.
Good afternoon. I wanted to first start out, I mentioned to Shannon earlier, it was 10 years ago in October of 2011, about a mile and a half, I guess, that way, we had the groundbreaking for the C-44, and now to come full circle back to see the completion and ribbon cutting. It's a great thing. Back when she was with Interior. Dear friends, today is an historic day for the state and nation. The completion of the C-44 reservoir and the associated stormwater treatment area is a major milestone, as the C-44 is now the first fully integrated component of a Central Everglades Restoration Plan water infrastructure project to be completed. The C-44 reservoir, it will make a real difference in the health of the Indian River Lagoon and the quality of life for Floridians who live near the shores while affording much needed flexibility to South Florida water managers. I commend the efforts of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the South Florida Water Management District who have worked tirelessly to see this project come to fruition. Their good work demonstrates that we will indeed be able to enjoy the fully restored Everglades so long as we remain focused and committed in maintaining our momentum. Everglades restoration is the single most important ecological project for the state of Florida and has long been the top priority of mine. It's an honor to be able to lead the bipartisan Florida congressional delegation in our shared efforts in support of Everglades restoration. I am proud of the significant progress we have made in recent years, and I'll continue joining each of you in fighting for these projects as we fully restore and protect South Florida's critical ecosystems. Senator Marco Rubio.
Thank you very much. And now, Senator Gail Harrell. She's been another long-time supporter of Everglades restoration, serving in Florida for 18 years in the House of Representatives, starting in 2000, and in the Senate in 2018. Please welcome Senator Gail Harrell.
Thank you all so very much for being here in the beautiful South Florida weather. Hey, how about that weather? What's so important about today is that we are really seeing the fruition of the hard work that has gone into this for 20 years. When I was first elected to the Florida House in 2000, the comprehensive Everglades restoration was one of the major concerns we had here on the Treasure Coast. Between fish kills and blue-green algae and the devastation that we have seen in our rivers and the Indian River Lagoon, this has been a paramount consideration for the folks here on the Treasure Coast. And to see this actually come to fruition today is just so spectacular. And it's that partnership between the state and our federal partners. And that's what SERP was really designed to be. And of course, our local communities have always participated so in this. And I want to thank our governor for being such a leader. And I want to go back to Jeb. You know, when he was governor, he made this commitment. The state stepped up to the plate from the very beginning. Now, we had to drag those feds along a little bit at the very beginning and get them into this race. And we started out, when you talk about races, we started out as kind of like the turtle. And we've been clawing along little by little by little over the first 10, 15 years. But we made major commitment. And one of the things that we did was pass Legacy Florida, which put the state in front of having a confirmed, dedicated funding source. And that was a game changer. And then our feds stepped up to the plate and joined us. So together, in this partnership, we have really made the concerted effort to see this type of endeavor when the governor was here 2 years ago and we turned on the faucet for the STA. That was so exciting. But I can tell you, you haven't seen anything yet. When this happens, it's going to be major. But again, it's because of that long-term commitment that the state and the federal government has made to our environment. And our environment and our economy are so linked, at least for us here on the Treasure Coast, and truly for the whole state of Florida. Putting water issues and putting this kind of restoration into the major funding bucket that we do at the state and at the federal level is absolutely key. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Sometimes it comes down to the money. And that's what this state and this governor has done. And the legislature has even outdone the governor sometime in our commitment to this, because we have been there. We understand the impact on our state and the impact for the future for our children. So I can't tell you how delighted I am here, and I am just so thrilled to have our Lieutenant Governor here, and I want to say thank you to the Governor and Lieutenant Governor for his commitment and your commitment to the environment and the economy and the future of the state of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Hale, for all your years of support to the Everglades. And now, the Martin County Board of County Commissioners has been a driving force behind the continued momentum and success of the Indian River Lagoon South project. Please welcome Chairman Doug Smith.
No doctor? So Gail, when you and I started this, I think I was 20 and you were 25. It's been a really nice run. But we look exactly the same. Everybody, thank you for coming today. It really has been an amazing experience. I've been in office for 20 years, and so what you see in back of you has been part of my life for the last 20 years. Every single thing we do in Martin County and every component of what we've been working on and focusing on is where we ended up here today. And so I do have some prepared remarks, and what's nice about coming towards the end of the speakers is that everybody that needs to be thanked has been thanked, thankfully. But there's just a few extras that we want to add to the list and really recognize, because everybody under this tent, not in the room, but everybody in this tent really has had a piece. Somewhere along the line, you've all touched and had something that has made what we see in back of us happen. But there's a couple that I just really want to pull out and honor and appreciate for all of what they've done to make it happen here today. It is with the highest honor to participate in this landmark celebration today. Occasions of this scale are incredibly rare when you stop to think about it. All the speakers have mentioned that in terms of the scale and size of what we're looking at today, and even perhaps, certainly in my lifetime, once in a political lifetime. From this levee, the view is absolutely breathtaking. It's breathtaking for its beauty, its significance to the St. Lucie River and Indian River Lagoon, and it's breathtaking for the effort in which it took to materialize all of it. It required vision to create this view, a vision that was cast over 20 years ago with the passage of the most audacious ecosystem restoration plan humanity has ever conceived. The view required cooperation between all of the agencies at all levels of government, like South Florida Water Management and the United States Army Corps of Engineers. That was Carson in the back, I bet. It required elected officials with courage, tenacity, to fight for the ideas and funding. And I'm not kidding, it was a fight, a long part of the process. The view required individuals with heroic commitment and energy. And this is one of the people that wouldn't necessarily get mentioned today. But without this individual that I'm going to talk a little bit about, we wouldn't be here today, I can assure you. Martin County made a decision when I got elected in 2000, we were going to hire a federal lobbyist. And it was kind of controversial. I mean, we kind of got pounded down a little bit for doing that. But the gentleman I'm going to mention next is probably, in my mind, at least for Martin County, one of the key reasons we're all here today. Fowler West who is here from D.C. today. Fowler, please stand up. Fowler was here when we broke ground. He was here when we authorized water in 2007. And he was even here when we conceived of the comprehensive Everglades restoration plan. He was here before all of us, honestly. Fowler and many others like him have been tirelessly promoting this project, and others like it on behalf of Martin County for over 20 years. This view required sacrifice by countless people working long hours, advocating, designing, and constructing this project. It required a local Martin County community so that it was embraced the vision with the taxpayers themselves to help fund this project. From this view, we can also see into the future. The view is not just about the monumental achievement that you see in back of us, but it is also about momentum. Some of our speakers have talked about that. Momentum that has brought us about recent record funding from both state and federal partners. Momentum that has generated progress in IRL South, the EAA, Reservoir, and the STA, and of course, Mr. Chauncey, C-44. Syrup Newwater, Tamiami Trail, and even the new Loxahatchee River restoration plans. Momentum that is giving us a new, more effective lake schedule. Momentum that has created aggressive policy discussions about blue-green algae, stormwater management, improvements to water and wastewater treatment, and historic cooperation between agencies at all levels. Collectively buying in to get water all right for South Florida. I believe we look back on this from a decade from now and we'll recognize that these were the good old days of Everglades restoration. I want to extend a special thanks, and this is the second thank you today from my piece of all of this, to the Martin County community for supporting the sales tax funds to purchase the land that you're all standing on today. What has become one of the most significant water quality projects in Everglades restoration. Had it not been for the commitment of Martin County residents and Fowler, we wouldn't be here today. Or at least if we were here today, it'd be years in the coming. Thanks to the Governor of Florida, Lieutenant Governor, for their steadfast commitment to water and water quality. It really has made an amazing difference in our region. Thanks to the South Florida Water Management District, the United States Army Corps' leadership and staff for all your years of hard work, the resourcefulness and cooperation. So after 20 years of nonstop support, the C-44 starts taking on water today. I would also add, I think I've had the honor to have worked with 7, 8 colonels through this process. Each one of them brought their own tenacity, their own level of commitment, their own style, and they were all different, every single one of them. But at the end of it, when they all left, it was the greatest tour of duty they ever had, and they never wanted to leave. And so that says something really cool about where we are and what we've achieved. And so, welcome Martin County. We have some homes still for sale. Not many. So, everybody, thank you for coming out today. The Martin County residents that supported all of this and helped get it to where we are today really are the ones to applaud. If it weren't for the $27 million we put in as taxpayers in Martin County, again, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you all very, very much, and thank you all for your continued support, and let's do some more. Thank you.
Let me go back.
Now Colonel Booth will introduce our Lieutenant Governor.
Right here, sir. All right, I would like to introduce now our last speaker. She is a Florida native, born and raised in Miami. She was elected as Florida's first Hispanic female lieutenant governor in 2018. She previously served as a state representative of the Florida House of Representatives from 2010 to 2018 and was named Speaker pro tempore from 2016 to 2018. Please welcome Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Colonel Booth, for that introduction. And I see some blue skies out there, so I think that's a good sign. It really is a privilege to be here in the culmination of so many years of hard work and so many individuals that have been part of this process for quite some time. So on behalf of the governor and myself, it is truly an honor to be here and celebrate this momentous day. And today is indeed a big day. It's a big day for Florida's environment, for our Everglades, for the Treasure Coast, for the entire country, quite frankly. And early on in our administration, as you heard Secretary Hamilton mention, our governor pledged to make sure that the environment was prioritized. He outlined a vision for our environment, a vision that, as you heard from Senator Harrell, has not only been entrusted by the legislature, but they are trying to, outdo the governor. But I think in the end of the day, we'll all take credit for having historic funding. Over $2.5 billion we pledged, and not only has the legislature delivered, but they've delivered big. So I want to publicly state our thanks for the legislature making sure that they too prioritize this very important mission of ours. So thank you. I believe it was at the inaugural that the governor mentioned his vision, and he thought that very succinctly his mission as governor was to follow in the words of President Teddy Roosevelt by having Florida treat its natural resources as assets, which must turn it over to the next generation, not impaired, but enhanced in value. And I think that has guided his thought process, that's guided his vision, that's guided his budget and his priorities. And as you see this afternoon, we're proud that we've been able to fulfill that mission by announcing the completion of the C-44 Reservoir and Stormwater Treatment Area. This project is indeed a crown jewel in all of Florida's resources. So again, it is such a pleasure to be here to see what we're going to be able to do, provide over 60,000 acre feet of new water storage, provide more than 3,600 acres of new wetlands. And these initiatives are part of our overall achieving more now for Florida's environment. I think when you see what we've been able to do in terms of prioritizing our waterways, making sure our springs, our restoration efforts, making sure that we restore the IRL, making sure that the St. Lucie estuary is prioritized, revitalizing our habitats that are needed for our fish and our wildlife, helping balance the fresh and salt water in the IRL and the St. Lucie estuary. All of those goals are well underway. And as was mentioned by the Secretary, Dr. Hamilton now, I understand. I have a funny story about being called a doctor, but I'll leave that for another day. We've had over 37 Everglades restoration projects that have broken ground, hit a major milestone, or as today is evidence, finished construction. So this project, again, is a great step towards fully restoring our river of grass and restoring our environment. So again, we want to thank the legislature for their support. We want to thank our federal partners for everything they've done to make sure that we stay on track with our ambitious goal. And as we continue to work to make sure we have that historic funding for our environment. As you heard, $960 million for Everglades restoration. That is a lofty goal, but it's a lofty goal that we are confident we will get fulfilled. And so, as we all know, the lifeblood of Florida is clean water, and our commitment every step of the way has been to ensure that, to grow our economy, but also hand in hand with our environment, because as was already stated, the two are inextricably linked. So thank you all so very much for allowing me to be a part of this momentous occasion. I wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Again, God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for joining us today on behalf of Governor DeSantis and his administration. Hit the ground from day one. Thank you so much. Let me go back to my spot. So it has been an honor and a privilege to celebrate this milestone and the implementation of the C-44 Reservoir and Stormwater Treatment Area alongside you all. Let this day serve as a clear demonstration of what our continued partnership and collaboration can do in order to restore the South Florida ecosystem that we all love and enjoy. Next, I'm going to ask Colonel Booth to come to the podium and give the ceremonial command to start the pumps housed in the pump station that's in front of me behind you all. The startup sequence will take 20 minutes, so be sure to just stick around. After the ribbon cutting ceremony that we're going to do over here to my right, it'll be a unique opportunity to watch and a historic sight to see. So, Colonel Booth.
All right, and just to be clear, when I say start the pumps, I've heard it's not very loud, so don't just wait. It's going to be impressive. I'm going to go off script, and that's always a scary thing for staff, but I was sitting here thinking there's a group of people we didn't recognize and thank, and that's the staff from the Jacksonville District Army Corps of Engineers, and also, in the preponderance, the staff from the South Florida Water Management District who pulled this event together today. They got you here. They kept most of you dry. And what an incredible event. And the last thing I'll say is I just want to thank Bree from our corporate communications office for standing as a true shield to all our speakers. All right, thank you so much. Okay, now for the formal moment, pump station staff, please begin the startup sequence.
All right, so it's kicking off. We've got a timer. All right, we're going to keep it going here. So while the party pumps are starting up, I'm going to ask the speakers, the members of the South Florida Water Management District Governing Board, Executive Director Bartlett, to come over here, grab a pair of scissors. Please, everyone, realign yourselves and get it close to the ribbon. Woo! Good job. Thank you. Stumbled over myself, too.
Jacksonville District, Colonel Booth, gave the order to start up the pump station over here behind us. In total, it's a 1,100 cubic feet per second pump station. It's basically another way of saying to move a lot of water really fast. So what we're waiting for right now is as the system starts spinning up and spooling up the pumps and getting all the blue water going to the bearings, we'll start pulling the vacuums from the various pipes that lead up and over the magnet that we're standing on, the dam itself. Once that happens, the whole process takes about 20 minutes. We should be able to begin to see the water coming out into the discharge basin and into the reservoir over here behind us. I think the plan for today is to run 2 of the 4 pumps, and it'll take about another 20 minutes after the first pump gets started before the second one starts kicking on. So that's what we're waiting for, and hopefully that, I think we've got about 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes left until we start seeing the water coming up and over top of the dam and into the reservoir itself.